I stared at my bank account balance, $47.23. The notification on my phone kept buzzing. Another message from my sister. Can you send $800? Mom needs her medication and I'm short this month. My hands were shaking. Not from anger. From exhaustion. From the kind of bone-deep weariness that comes from carrying people who've forgotten how to stand on their own. I typed back, I can't. I have $47 left until Friday. 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then, you always have money for yourself but never for family. Unbelievable. I looked around my studio apartment. The same furniture I'd bought 6 years ago when I first moved in. The same cracked phone screen I couldn't afford to replace. The same empty fridge because I'd been eating rice and eggs for 3 weeks straight. Money for myself. Right. That's when I realized something that should have been obvious years ago. I wasn't helping my family anymore. I hadn't been for a long time. I'd become their ATM. Their emergency fund. Their solution to every problem they refused to solve themselves. And the worst part? It didn't matter that I had nothing left. They'd still ask. They'd still expect. They'd still make me feel guilty for the crime of being empty. I never thought I'd tell this story. Never thought I'd admit how completely I let my family drain me. But if you've ever been the one everyone leans on while you're barely standing yourself, maybe you'll understand. My name is Jordan, and at 28 years old, I'd been the family breadwinner for 6 years. 6 years of putting everyone else first. 6 years of sacrifice that nobody acknowledged. 6 years of slowly disappearing while everyone around me thrived on my labor. And I was finally, desperately, completely done. But let me back up. Let me tell you how I got here. How a 22-year-old with a decent job and a normal life turned into a human ATM for people who were supposed to love me. It started the way these things always start. With a crisis. With someone needing help. With me being the only one capable of giving it. I was fresh out of college, working my first real job at a marketing firm in downtown Seattle. The pay was decent, $38,000 a year, which felt like a fortune after 4 years of ramen noodles and textbook debt. I had my own apartment, a tiny studio in Capitol Hill that cost too much but felt like mine. My own car, a beat-up Honda Civic. My own life, finally, after 22 years of living under someone else's roof and rules. My family was fine then. Not rich, never rich, but stable in that working-class way where there's always just enough if everyone's careful. Dad worked construction, had for 25 years with the same company. Good benefits, decent pay, the kind of job that used to mean security. Mom was a receptionist at a dental office, part-time, mostly for the dental insurance and something to do after us kids were grown. My older sister Amanda had just gotten married to her high school sweetheart, some guy named Derek who sold insurance and drove a truck he couldn't afford. My younger brother Tyler was finishing his senior year of high school, already talking about community college and moving out. We were normal. Regular. The kind of family that had problems but worked through them. The kind where everyone showed up for Thanksgiving and complained about the same things every year and left feeling okay about it. I remember thinking I'd made it. Graduated college, first in my family to do it. Got a real job with benefits and a 401k I didn't understand but contributed to anyway because someone on the internet said I should. Had my own place where I could walk around in my underwear and eat cereal for dinner and nobody could say anything about it. I was building something. A life. A future. Mine. Then Dad's company went under. It happened fast, the way these things do. 1 week everything was fine, Dad coming home tired but steady, talking about a big project in Bellevue that would keep him busy through winter. The next week, he came home at noon on a Tuesday with a box of his things and a letter saying the company was filing for bankruptcy. The construction firm he'd worked for 23 years got caught in some financial scandal. Something about the owner embezzling, bad investments, debts nobody knew about. Bankruptcy. Liquidation. Layoffs across the board. Pension gone. Just gone. 23 years of contributions into a pension fund that evaporated overnight because of lawyers and creditors and corporate structures I didn't understand. Dad was 53 years old with a high school diploma and a specialized skill set in a dying industry. The Seattle construction boom was happening, sure, but it was all big companies now, corporate contractors who wanted young guys with certifications Dad didn't have. Finding equivalent work wasn't just hard. It was nearly impossible. He tried. God, he tried. Applied everywhere. Took his resume to every site. Called in favors with old coworkers. But 53 with no pension and no leverage is a bad place to be in any job market. Mom's receptionist job paid $12 an hour, 20 hours a week. It covered groceries if they were careful. Maybe utilities. That was it. I remember the phone call. I was at work, in the middle of some presentation about social media strategy for a client who sold organic dog food. My phone buzzed. Dad's name. I ignored it because I was working, being professional, being the responsible adult I'd worked so hard to become. He called again. Then again. I excused myself, stepped into the hallway, answered. Jordan. His voice was wrong. Dad's voice had always been strong, certain, the kind of voice that fixed things and knew answers. This voice was shaking. I need to talk to you about something. What's wrong? Is Mom okay? Mom's fine. We're both fine. It's just, we've got a problem. A money problem. He told me about the mortgage. How they were 3 months behind. How the bank had sent a foreclosure notice. How they'd been trying to figure it out on their own, but there was no way, not with Dad unemployed and Mom's tiny paycheck. I wouldn't ask if there was any other choice, he said, and I could hear him crying. My father, who I'd seen cry exactly twice in my entire life, both times at funerals, was crying on the phone about money. But we're going to lose the house. Your mother's going to lose her home. I don't know what else to do. What was I supposed to say? These were my parents. They'd raised me, fed me, kept a roof over my head for 18 years. Put me through college with their modest savings and their weekend shifts and their careful budgeting. Drove me to soccer practice and sat through school plays and taught me how to change a tire and balance a checkbook. Of course I was going to help. How much do you need? I asked. $4,000 to get current with the bank. Then we can figure out the rest month by month once I find work. $4,000. My entire savings account, the emergency fund I'd been building for 2 years, plus a chunk of my next 2 paychecks. It would leave me with almost nothing, but it was my parents' house. The house I grew up in. The place where my height was still marked on the doorframe and my baby pictures were still on the mantel. I sent the money that afternoon. Didn't even think about it, really. Just logged into my bank account and set up the transfer. Dad called me that evening. He was crying again, but different. Relief crying. You saved us, Jordan. You saved our home. I'm going to pay you back. Soon as I get work, every extra dollar is yours. I promise. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was my father. He'd never broken a promise to me before. That was my first mistake. Not helping. Helping was right. The mistake was believing it was temporary. Believing there was a finish line. Believing that sacrifice had a limit. For a few months, things actually did stabilize. Dad picked up odd jobs, under-the-table construction work that didn't pay what he was worth but paid something. Handyman calls from neighbors. Weekend shifts at Home Depot. Mom took on extra hours at the dental office, working full-time now, coming home exhausted but bringing home a slightly bigger paycheck. I sent them $1,000 a month to help with the mortgage and bills. It was tight for me, meant skipping lunches and walking instead of driving and saying no to happy hours with coworkers. but it felt manageable. Temporary. This was just a rough patch. Dad would find real work. They'd get back on their feet. Things would go back to normal. I kept telling myself that. Kept believing it. Then Amanda's marriage fell apart. It started with rumors, the way these things do in small social circles. Derek was seen with someone at a bar. Then seen again. Then Amanda found messages on his phone, explicit ones, ongoing ones, messages that made it clear this wasn't a mistake but a choice. She confronted him. He didn't deny it. Said he'd fallen out of love with her, met someone else, wanted a divorce. Just like that. 5 years of marriage over because Derek decided he wanted something different. Amanda was devastated. Completely shattered. She'd been a stay-at-home mom since her daughter Emily was born 4 years earlier, then her son Jake 2 years after that. Hadn't worked in years, had no recent job experience, no savings of her own because everything had been in joint accounts Derek promptly emptied. She filed for divorce. Moved back in with mom and dad with her 2 kids. I remember going over there for dinner a week after she moved in. The house felt different. Crowded. Tense. Emily and Jake were running around, loud and energetic the way 4- and 6-year-olds are. Amanda was crying in the kitchen. Mom was trying to comfort her. Dad was in the garage, hiding, probably overwhelmed by suddenly having a full house again. "It's just temporary," Mom said to me while we were doing dishes. "Just until the divorce settles. Amanda will get the house in the split, probably spousal support, definitely child support. Few months, tops. Then she'll be on her feet. Few months. Tops." The few months turned into 6. Then 8. Then a year. The divorce got ugly. Derek fought everything. Contested custody even though he'd been cheating, said Amanda was an unfit mother, dragged out every proceeding with motions and delays. Turned out there was no house to split because Derek had mortgaged it for some business venture that failed. No assets. He'd racked up credit card debt in both their names. And then he quit his insurance job, said he was consulting now, working under the table to avoid child support obligations. Amanda was stuck. No house, no money, no support from her ex, and 2 kids depending on her. And because Amanda was stuck, my parents were stuck. And because my parents were stuck, I was stuck. My $1,000 a month to mom and dad turned into $1,500 to cover the extra food, the higher utility bills from more people in the house. Then Amanda needed help with a lawyer, another $2,000. Then Emily needed preschool supplies. Jake needed new shoes because kids grow fast. The family car broke down and nobody could afford repairs except me. $2,000 a month. Then $2,500. Then $3,000. I was 23 years old, trying to support a household of 7 people on a salary designed for one person living modestly. I stopped going out with friends because every invitation was money I didn't have. Stopped buying new clothes, started shopping at Goodwill when I absolutely needed something. Cancelled my gym membership, my Netflix subscription, my Spotify premium. Started doing my own hair instead of going to a salon. Drove my Honda until the check engine light became a permanent fixture and the weird rattling noise just became background sound. I learned to cook rice 60 different ways. Rice and beans. Rice and eggs. Rice with frozen vegetables. Rice with canned tuna. Rice because it was cheap and filling and I could make a 10-pound bag last a month. My coworkers would go to lunch and invite me. I'd make excuses. Brown bagging it. Today. Trying to eat healthier. Not hungry. Really, I just couldn't afford $12 for a sandwich. And everyone, every single person in my family, said the same thing, thank God for Jordan. What would we do without Jordan? Jordan's amazing. Jordan's so generous. We're so blessed to have Jordan. It felt good. At first. Being the hero. Being needed. Being the one who saved everyone. Being the responsible one, the capable one, the one people could count on. My parents would brag about me to their friends. Our daughter Jordan, she's doing so well, helps us out, we're so proud. Amanda would post on Facebook about her amazing sister who stepped up when she needed it most. Tyler, still living at home through his first year of community college, would tell his friends his older sister was loaded and super generous. I wasn't loaded. I was drowning. Every paycheck gone before it arrived, mentally allocated to someone else's needs. My credit card balance climbing because sometimes there wasn't enough for both their bills and mine, so mine went on credit. But nobody asked about that. Nobody said, "Jordan, are you okay?" Nobody questioned whether this was sustainable. Why would they? From their perspective, I was fine. I had a job. I had an apartment. I was handling it. What they didn't see was me crying in my car in the work parking lot, looking at my bank account, doing math that never worked out. They didn't see me skipping meals because I'd run out of groceries and wouldn't get paid for 3 more days. They didn't see me awake at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, calculating whether I could make rent this month or if I'd have to ask my landlord for an extension again. They just saw their solution. Their safety net. Their ATM. Then Tyler dropped out of community college. He just stopped going. Didn't tell anyone for weeks. Finally came clean when he failed all his classes and lost his financial aid. "It's not for me," he said when I asked him about it during a family dinner. "College isn't for everyone." "Okay," I said, trying to be supportive. "So what's your plan?" He shrugged. "Get a job, I guess. Save some money. Figure it out." He got a job at GameStop. Part-time. Minimum wage, which in Washington was $11 an hour at the time. He'd work maybe 25 hours a week, bring home $700 a month, and spend it all on his girlfriend and video games and weed. "When are you moving out?" I asked him a few months later. He was 20 years old by then, been out of school for half a year. Another shrug. "Why would I? Rent's expensive. Mom and Dad don't charge me anything. It'd be stupid to move out." "You're 20 years old." "Yeah, and you moved out at 18 and look how stressed you are." "I'm being smart. Staying here, saving money, not rushing into anything." Saving money. He wasn't saving money. He was spending mine, living rent-free in a house I was partially paying for, contributing nothing to the household expenses, treating our parents' home like a free hotel. But when I mentioned it to Mom later, she got defensive. "He's still young, Jordan. He's figuring things out. Not everyone has their life together at 20 like you did." I didn't have my life together at 20. I was working full-time and going to school full-time and eating ramen. Exactly. You don't want that for Tyler. Let him take his time. His time. On my dime. I wanted to scream. Wanted to grab her by the shoulders and show her my bank statements, my credit card bills, make her understand that her baby boy's extended adolescence was funded by my sacrifice. But I didn't. Because they needed me. Because I was family. Because what else was I supposed to do? Then Amanda started dating again. Which was fine. Good, even. She deserved happiness after what Derek put her through. I was genuinely glad she was getting out, meeting people, trying to rebuild her life. Except her new boyfriend Rico had a car that was always breaking down. And she'd call me, stressed, saying she needed $300 for new brakes, $500 for a transmission issue, $200 for new tires. "I'll pay you back when my tax return comes," she'd promise. The tax return would come. She'd use it for something else. Never paid me back. Then Emily needed braces. Orthodontist said she had a severe overbite that would cause problems if not corrected. Insurance covered some of it, but Amanda needed $2,000 for the down payment. I sent it. Jake needed ADHD medication. Psychiatrist visits weren't covered by state insurance. Amanda needed $400 for the evaluation, then $150 a month for follow-up appointments. I sent it. Amanda found an apartment she wanted to move into. Finally, I thought. Finally she's getting out, getting independent. She just needed first month, last month, and security deposit. $4,500 total. I emptied my savings. Maxed out my credit card. Sent the money. She never moved in. The apartment fell through, she said. Then it was she decided to wait until Emily finished the school year. Then the timing wasn't right. Then she and Rico broke up and she was too depressed to deal with moving. Then she was dating someone new and wanted to see where it went before making major decisions. Always another reason. Always another delay. That $4,500 was just gone. Subsidizing an apartment she never moved into, a fresh start that never happened. I was 25 years old. I'd been promoted twice at work, making $55,000 a year now, which should have been comfortable. Should have meant savings and security and maybe a nicer apartment. Instead, I had credit card debt approaching $20,000. My student loans were in forbearance because I couldn't afford the $400 monthly payment. My savings account had $200 in it. My car was making a grinding noise I couldn't afford to investigate. I hadn't been to a dentist in 3 years. Hadn't bought new clothes in 2 years. Hadn't had a vacation or even a weekend away since college. But I kept sending money. Kept sacrificing. Kept telling myself this was temporary, they needed me, it would get better. I'd sent my family over $130,000 in 3 years. $130,000. I did the math one night, going through bank statements and credit card records, adding it all up. Mortgage help. Bills. Groceries. Amanda's lawyer. Tyler's car insurance that he couldn't afford. Emergency vet bills. School expenses. Medical costs. The apartment deposit. Repairs. Gifts. On and on and on. $130,000 I'd given to people who were supposed to love me. And I had nothing to show for it except debt and exhaustion. That's when things started to change. Not all at once. But gradually, like ice cracking, I started to see the reality I'd been avoiding. The first crack came at Christmas. I was 26. I'd driven to my parents' house for dinner, brought modest gifts because that's all I could afford. A $50 GameStop gift card for Tyler. A nice frame for Amanda with a picture of Emily and Jake. A cookbook for Mom. A tool set for Dad. Tyler opened his gift in front of everyone. Looked at the gift card. Looked at me. "That's it?" he said. I stared at him. "Excuse me? $50? That's kind of weak." Heat flushed through my face. Weak? Amanda's kids got iPads. Amanda's kids are 8 and 10. You're 22. Still. You make good money now. $50 is pretty cheap for Christmas. Something in me snapped. Something that had been bending for years finally broke. "Tyler," I said, my voice shaking but controlled, "I have sent this family over $130,000 in the last 4 years. I paid for your car insurance for 2 years. I paid for the community college you dropped out of. I've covered your share of household expenses while you live rent-free with Mom and Dad. I think a $50 gift card is perfectly fine." The room went silent. Tyler's face turned red. "Here we go. St. Jordan, keeping track of every dollar she spends on us. We get it, you're so generous. I'm not trying to, you just can't help yourself, can you? Can't just give a gift without making sure everyone knows how much you've sacrificed." "Tyler, that's not fair," Mom interjected, but her voice was tired, strained. Like she was exhausted by both of us. Like my resentment was just as much a problem as his entitlement. "I'm just saying," Tyler continued, "it's pretty shitty to throw your money in people's faces. We didn't ask you to help. Yes, you literally did. All of you. Constantly. Then maybe you should have said no if it was such a burden. Dad spoke up then. That's enough. Both of you. Jordan's been very helpful to this family and we appreciate it. Tyler, you're being ungrateful. Apologize. For what? For calling it like it is? Now. Tyler rolled his eyes. Fine. Sorry, Jordan. Thanks for the gift card. It's great. Super generous. The sarcasm was thick. Nobody called him on it. I left early that night. Made an excuse about not feeling well, gathered my things, hugged Mom, and walked out to my car. I sat in the driveway for 20 minutes, crying, trying to compose myself enough to drive. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. Can you send $600? Emily's gymnastics competition is next month and the registration fee is due. Not Merry Christmas. Not thanks for the iPad for the kids. Not are you okay, you seemed upset. Just another request. I stared at the message until my vision blurred. Drove home. Didn't respond. The next morning, she sent it again. Did you see my message about the gymnastics fee? I typed, I can't afford it right now. Her response came immediately. What do you mean you can't afford it? You just got your Christmas bonus. How did she know about my bonus? Had Mom told her? Was my entire financial life just open information for my family to discuss and divvy up? The bonus is going toward my credit card debt, I wrote back. Your credit card debt that you racked up buying stuff for yourself. This is for Emily. For your niece. She's worked really hard and she deserves this opportunity. My hands were shaking as I typed. Amanda, I can't keep doing this. Doing what? Helping your family? God, Jordan, when did you become so selfish? Selfish. I'd given them everything. Literally everything. My savings, my financial security, my peace of mind, my future. And I was selfish. I didn't respond. Didn't send the money. Emily missed her gymnastics competition. Amanda didn't speak to me for 3 weeks. When she finally did reach out, it wasn't to apologize. It wasn't to acknowledge that maybe she'd been harsh. It was to ask if I could help with Jake's birthday party. Nothing big, just $200 for the venue rental and some decorations. That's when I started saying no. Not to everything. Not all at once. I didn't have the courage for that yet. But I started setting small boundaries. Started saying I can't afford it instead of immediately draining my account. And that's when I learned a horrible truth. The word no turns you into a villain faster than years of yes make you a hero. The first few times, they accepted it with guilt trips. I guess we'll just have to figure it out ourselves. Must be nice to have money just sitting around while the rest of us struggle. I remember when family meant something to you. But they did figure it out. Somehow. Tyler picked up extra shifts. Amanda got assistance programs for the kids' activities. Mom and Dad adjusted their budget. And I started to see something I'd been blind to for years. They didn't actually need my money. Not all of it. Maybe not even most of it. They'd just gotten used to having it. It was easier than making hard choices. Easier than budgeting. Easier than Tyler getting a full-time job or Amanda pursuing child support more aggressively or my parents downsizing to something affordable. I wasn't helping them. I was enabling them. But they didn't see it that way. Couldn't see it that way. Because from their perspective, nothing had changed. They still had needs. I still had money. What was different? What was different was me. I was tired. I was empty. I was done. The real breaking point came on a random Tuesday night in March. I was 27, just had my annual review at work. Got another promotion, another raise. Up to $62,000 a year now. Should have been celebrating. Should have felt accomplished. Instead, I felt sick. Because I knew. I knew that raise wouldn't be mine. It would disappear into the same black hole that had swallowed every other dollar I'd ever earned. That night, Dad called. "Hey, Jordan. Got a minute?" "What's up?" "Tyler's car insurance is due and he's short about $200. Can you cover it this month?" Tyler's car insurance. The car insurance for a 23-year-old man with a job who lived rent-free. "Dad, Tyler works 30 hours a week. He can afford $200. He's got other expenses." "Like what?" "That's not really the point. The point is he needs help and you're his sister. I've been helping for 5 years. And we appreciate it. We really do. We're just asking for $200. Tell Tyler to skip his daily Starbucks runs for a month. He'll have it." Silence. Long, heavy silence. Then, "When did you become so cold?" The word hit me like a slap. Cold. I'd bled myself dry for these people. Given until there was nothing left. And I was cold. I'm not cold. I'm just done being the solution to everyone's problems. We're family. Family helps each other. I've been helping. For 5 years. Constantly. And all I'm asking is for Tyler, a grown adult, to pay his own car insurance. You know what? Forget it. We'll figure it out ourselves. Like we always do when we can't count on you." He hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, shaking with anger and hurt and something else. Something that felt almost like relief. An hour later, Mom called. "Your father is very upset," she said, her voice tight. "I know. He's been under a lot of stress. We all have. And you refusing to help Tyler with something so small just feels cruel." "Small? Mom, do you know how much money I've sent you all over the past 5 years? We didn't ask you to keep track. $170,000. At least. Probably more." She was quiet. $170,000, I repeated. "And I have $20,000 in credit card debt and $400 in savings. I'm 27 years old and I have nothing because I've given everything to you. Nobody forced you to help." The words were like ice. "You're right," I said quietly. "Nobody forced me. I chose this. I chose to help people I love. But you know what? I'm choosing differently now." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm done. No more money. Not for Tyler's insurance, not for Amanda's kids, not for emergencies, not for anything. You're all adults. Figure it out. Jordan, I have to go." I hung up. Waited for the guilt to crash over me. For the panic. For the voice in my head screaming that I was a terrible person, a bad daughter, a selfish sister. It didn't come. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in 5 years, light. Like I'd been carrying a crushing weight and finally set it down. I slept that night. Really slept. 10 hours, dreamless, the kind of sleep your body sinks into when it's finally safe. The messages started the next day. From Mom, "I can't believe you'd turn your back on your family like this. After everything we've done for you." From Amanda, "The kids are asking why Aunt Jordan doesn't love them anymore. How am I supposed to explain that you care more about money than your own niece and nephew?" From Tyler, "Wow. Just wow. So much for blood being thicker than water. Hope your money keeps you warm at night. Even Dad sent something. When you're ready to be part of this family again, let us know." I read them all. Felt each one like a knife. And blocked every number. Just blocked them. Stop the notifications, stop the guilt trips, stop the constant barrage of needs and demands and manipulations. Silence. Blessed, terrifying silence. My coworker Jess noticed the change. We were at lunch, actually at lunch because I'd said yes when she invited me, and she said, "You seem different." Good different. What changed? I cut off my family, I said. Her eyes went wide. What? So I told her. Told her everything. 5 years of bleeding myself dry. The $170,000. The credit card debt. The constant requests. The entitlement. The guilt trips. She listened, her expression shifting from shock to anger to something like understanding. "Jordan," she said when I finished, "that's not family. That's abuse. They needed help for 5 years? And none of them tried to become independent? None of them said, 'Hey, Jordan's been carrying us, maybe we should step up?' That's not need. That's exploitation." The word felt too strong. But also accurate. My therapist says the same thing, I admitted. I'd started therapy 2 months earlier, finally had the money for it after skipping a few family payments. Good. Listen to your therapist. And listen to me, you don't owe them your life. You don't owe them your future. What they did to you isn't love. Maybe she was right. Maybe they were all right, Jess, and my therapist and the tiny voice in my head that had been screaming for years. For 3 months, I heard nothing from my family. 3 months of silence that I filled with therapy and paying down debt and starting to remember who I was before I became everyone's savior. I felt guilty sometimes. Late at night, I'd wonder if I'd overreacted. If maybe I should reach out. If maybe they'd changed. Then I'd look at my bank account. At the savings that were growing for the first time in years. At the credit card balance that was shrinking. At the future I was building. And I'd remember why I'd walked away. Then Mom had a heart attack. Not a massive one, the doctors said. A warning shot. A wake-up call. She'd need lifestyle changes, medication, monitoring. But she'd be fine. Amanda called from the hospital. I almost didn't answer. The number wasn't blocked because it was new, probably her boyfriend's phone. "Mom's in the hospital," she said without preamble. "She's asking for you." Every instinct screamed at me not to go. This was the trap. The guilt trip. The way back into the cycle. But it was Mom. And she'd had a heart attack. I went. The hospital was across town, a 30-minute drive that felt like hours. I kept rehearsing what I'd say, how I'd hold my boundaries, how I wouldn't let them suck me back in. Mom looked small in the hospital bed. Diminished. Older than her 56 years, gray and tired and hooked up to machines that beeped and whirred. "Jordan," she said when she saw me, and her eyes filled with tears. "You came." Of course I came. I wasn't sure. After everything. I sat down in the chair next to her bed. "How are you feeling?" "Tired. Scared. The doctor says I need to reduce stress, change my diet, exercise more." She smiled weakly. "Guess I haven't been taking care of myself." "None of us have." She reached for my hand. I let her take it. "I'm sorry," she said. "For how we treated you. You were right. About all of it. We took advantage. We got comfortable letting you carry everything. That wasn't fair." I felt tears building behind my eyes. "Mom, let me finish. Please. I've had 3 months to think about this. 3 months of managing without your help. And you know what? We're managing. It's harder, but we're doing it. Tyler got a full-time job. Amanda's getting regular child support now because I pushed her to pursue it properly. Your father and I downsized, sold the house, moved into an apartment. We should have done it years ago." "You sold the house?" "Last month. We're in a 2-bedroom in Shoreline now. It's smaller, but the rent's half what the mortgage was. We should have done it when your father lost his job, but we were stubborn. Proud. And you were there to catch us, so we didn't have to make hard choices. This was everything I'd wanted to hear. Everything I'd needed her to understand. So why did I still feel so empty? I'm glad you're okay, I said. I'm glad you're figuring things out. Are you? She studied my face. Because you don't look glad. You look hurt. Still hurt. I am still hurt. I know. You have every right to be. Jordan, I know I can't fix 5 years with an apology. I know trust doesn't rebuild that fast. But I want to try. I want to have a relationship with you that's not about money. That's just about being mother and daughter. I wanted that too. Desperately. But I was also terrified. I need time, I said. I understand. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. We'll be here. No pressure. No expectations. Just, when you're ready. We sat in silence for a while, her hand in mine, machines beeping. Then a nurse came in to check vitals, and I used it as an excuse to leave. In the parking lot, I sat in my car and cried. Not sad crying. Not happy crying. Just release. 5 years of holding everything in, finally coming out. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. Here we go, I thought. Here comes the request. Mom's medical bills are going to be about $3,000 after insurance. Can you chip in? Maybe $1,000? I stared at the message. Mom's apology. Her tears. Her promise to do better. All of it genuine, I believed that. But nothing had actually changed. Not really. I was still just an ATM to them. I typed, no. 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Seriously? After Mom almost died? After she just poured her heart out to you? Mom has insurance. She can set up a payment plan with the hospital. You're unbelievable. You know that? Absolutely unbelievable. I'm not doing this anymore, Amanda. Doing what? Helping your family? God, Jordan, when did you become such a selfish bitch? I blocked the number. Should have done it months ago. Another text came through, different number. Tyler. Real classy, leaving Mom's hospital bill for the rest of us to figure out. Hope you're proud of yourself. Blocked. Another number. Dad this time. Your mother could have died and you won't help with her medical bills. I don't know who you are anymore. I didn't block Dad's number. Instead, I called him. He answered immediately. What? Mom has insurance. The hospital has payment plans. She's going to be fine financially. $3,000 is a lot of money for us. Then make payments. $50 a month. The hospital will work with you. Or you could just help. Like family is supposed to. I've helped for 5 years. I've given you everything I have. It's someone else's turn now. There is no one else. Then you figure it out. Sell something. Pick up extra work. Budget. Do what every other person does when they have medical bills. I can't believe how cold you've become. There was that word again. Cold. I'm not cold, Dad. I'm just not drowning anymore. And I'm not going to start again just because you want me to. So that's it? You're just done with us? I'm done being your ATM. If you want a relationship with me that's based on love and respect instead of money, I'm open to that. But if every conversation is going to end with asking for cash, then yes. I'm done. He hung up on me. I sat there, phone in hand, waiting to feel bad. I didn't. I felt free. If you're still watching, if this story is hitting home, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment telling me where you're watching from and if you've ever been in a situation like this. Because what happened next, the aftermath of finally setting boundaries, taught me more about family and love and self-worth than 27 years of people-pleasing ever did. That was 8 months ago. I'm 28 now. Haven't spoken to my family except for one text exchange with Mom on my birthday where she said happy birthday, we love you, and I said thanks. My savings account has $14,000 in it. My credit cards are completely paid off. My student loans are back on track. I'm contributing to my 401k again. I bought a new used car, a 2018 Mazda that doesn't make weird noises and actually has working air conditioning. I sleep well. I eat well. I go to therapy weekly. I have a life. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt. If I said I didn't miss them. If I said there weren't nights when I almost called, almost broke, almost went back. Because they're still my family. Flawed, manipulative, selfish, but mine. My therapist Dr. Chen says that's normal. That you can enforce healthy boundaries and still grieve the relationship you wish you had. You're not grieving who they actually are, she told me in one session. You're grieving the family you deserved. The one that would have supported you instead of draining you. That's a valid loss. So I grieve. And I heal. And I build a life that's mine. Work is good. Got another promotion, managing a small team now. Making $70,000 a year, which feels impossible given where I started. Made friends, real friends who don't ask me for money. Jess and I are close now. She introduced me to her friend group, and we do normal things like brunch and hiking and movie nights. Things I couldn't afford or prioritize when I was supporting 7 people. Started dating. Nothing serious yet, but I went on a few dates, remembered what it feels like to have someone interested in me for who I am, not what I can provide. Took a vacation. My first real vacation since college. Went to Portland for a long weekend, stayed in a nice hotel, ate at good restaurants, bought souvenirs without calculating whether I could afford them. It felt decadent. It felt guilty. It felt amazing. I'm learning to be a person again. Not just a paycheck. Not just a solution. A person with wants and needs and boundaries. It's harder than I expected. Saying no is still difficult. Keeping money for myself still feels selfish sometimes. But I'm getting better. Then 2 months ago, something happened that made me question everything all over again. I was at a coffee shop near my apartment, working on my laptop, when someone sat down across from me uninvited. Amanda. She looked different. Thinner, more tired. Her hair had more gray in it. She was wearing scrubs, which surprised me because last I knew she didn't have a job. Before you leave, she said quickly, holding up her hand, just give me 5 minutes. Please. 5 minutes and then I'll go if you want. I should have left. Should have stood up and walked out. But curiosity or masochism or some remnant of the person I used to be made me stay. You have 5 minutes, I said. Thank you. She took a deep breath. First, I want to say that I'm not here to ask for money. I know you probably don't believe that, but it's true. I'm here because I owe you an apology. A real one. I waited. I've been in therapy, she continued. Court-ordered, actually, part of the custody modification with Derek. And my therapist has been making me examine my patterns, my behavior, how I treat people. And Jordan. I treated you horribly. 4 years. Okay, I said, non-committal. I used you. I knew I was using you and I did it anyway because it was easy. Because you never said no. Because I convinced myself I deserved help because I was a struggling single mom and you were doing fine. I wasn't doing fine. I know that now. I didn't know it then. Or maybe I did and I just didn't want to see it. Either way, I took advantage of your kindness and your sense of responsibility, and I'm sorry. I'm genuinely, truly sorry. She looked like she might cry. I felt nothing. 5 years of apologies wouldn't have been enough. One conversation certainly wasn't. Why are you really here? I asked. I told you, no, really. What do you want? Because people don't just show up after 8 months of silence to apologize. There's always something else. She deflated a little. You're right. I do want something. Not money, she added quickly. I want to tell you that you were right. About all of it. About us using you. About needing to stand on our own feet. After you cut us off, things got really bad for a while. Mom and Dad almost lost the house before they decided to sell. I had to get a full-time job, figured out childcare, learned to budget. Tyler had to actually move out and support himself. We all had to grow up, basically. And it was the best thing that could have happened to us. Not fun. Not easy. But necessary. I'm a certified nursing assistant now, working at a hospital. I make decent money. I have my own apartment, just me and the kids. Tyler has his own place, working as an assistant manager at Best Buy. Mom and Dad are stable in their apartment. We're all okay. We're okay without you. The words should have hurt. Instead, they felt like vindication. I'm glad, I said, and meant it. The thing is, Amanda continued, we got okay by learning to do what you were doing all along. Working hard. Budgeting. Making sacrifices. And it made me realize how much you sacrificed for us. How much you gave up. And how little we appreciated it. You're right. You didn't appreciate it. I know. And I can't take that back. Can't give you those years back or that money back. But I wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what we did to you. And I'm sorry. We sat in silence for a moment. How are Emily and Jake? I asked. Her face lit up immediately. They're good. Really good. Emily's 12 now, doing great in school. Made the honor roll last semester. Jake's 10, still a wild child, but his ADHD is better managed now that I can actually afford his medication consistently. They ask about you sometimes. Yeah? Yeah. Emily especially. She remembers you more clearly than Jake does. Remembers you coming to her gymnastics meets before everything fell apart. I miss them, I admitted. They miss you too. Amanda hesitated. Would you maybe want to see them sometime? Not at a family thing. Just you and them. Ice cream or a park or something. No pressure, no expectations. Just their aunt spending time with them. Every instinct screamed that this was a trap. A way back in. A crack in my boundaries that would slowly widen until I was drowning again. But another part of me, the part that still remembered Emily as a toddler and Jake as a baby, wanted to say yes. I need to think about it, I said finally. Of course. No rush. Here's my new number. She wrote it on a napkin. If you decide you want to, just text me. Or don't. Either way is okay. She stood to leave, then paused. One more thing. I know you probably don't care, but Tyler wanted me to tell you something if I saw you. He's engaged. To a girl named Sarah. She's good for him, actually makes him be responsible. Anyway, the wedding's in a few months, and he wanted me to ask if you'd consider coming. No pressure, she added quickly. He just wanted you to know you're invited. I'll think about it, I said. She nodded and left. I sat there for a long time after she was gone, staring at the napkin with her phone number, processing. Part of me wanted to believe her. Wanted to think people could change, that my family had actually learned something, that maybe there was a path back to a healthy relationship. But a bigger part of me remembered. Remembered Mom's apology in the hospital followed immediately by Amanda asking for money. Remembered years of promises that were never kept. Remembered being called selfish and cold for having boundaries. I took the napkin home. Kept it on my fridge, looking at it every day, debating. Dr. Chen and I talked about it in therapy. What do you want to do? She asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to see the kids. Part of me thinks it's a mistake. Both parts can be true. You can want connection and also be wary of being hurt again. So what do I do? What feels right to you? Not what you should do, not what would make them happy, but what feels right for you. I thought about it for days. Weeks, actually. Then I texted Amanda. I'd like to see Emily and Jake. Can we meet at Green Lake Park this Saturday? Just me and them, no other family. She responded within minutes. Yes. They'll be so excited. What time? We set it up. Saturday at 2. I was terrified the whole drive there. What if this was a mistake? What if Amanda ambushed me with the whole family? What if the kids resented me for disappearing? What if I couldn't handle seeing them without falling back into old patterns? But when I got there, it was just Amanda and the kids. She gave me a brief hug, said I'll be back in 2 hours, and left. Emily and Jake stood there looking uncertain. Hi, I said. Hi, Aunt Jordan, Emily said. Jake just waved. We walked. Found a spot by the lake. I bought them ice cream from a vendor. Mom said you've been really busy with work, Emily said, clearly repeating a script Amanda had given her. Is that why we haven't seen you? Sort of, I said. It's complicated. Adult stuff. Did you and Mom have a fight? No point lying. Yeah, we did. Are you still mad at her? I considered the question. I'm not mad. I'm just protecting myself. From what? From being hurt again. Emily nodded like that made perfect sense. Maybe at 12, it did. We spent 2 hours together. It was awkward at first, then easier. They told me about school and friends and their new apartment. I told them about my job and my new car. We fed ducks. Took selfies. Laughed. When Amanda came to pick them up, Emily hugged me tight. Can we do this again? She asked. Maybe, I said. We'll see. Driving home, I felt good. Lighter. Like maybe connection didn't have to mean sacrifice. Maybe I could have relationships with my family on my terms. But I was also careful. Didn't commit to anything. Didn't promise weekly visits or holidays or anything that would create obligation. Just maybe. We'll see. A week later, Tyler texted me. Amanda must have given him my number. Hey Jordan. It's Tyler. Amanda said she saw you. I wanted to reach out too. I debated ignoring it. But curiosity won. Hi Tyler. I know things have been messed up between us. Between you and everyone, really. And I wanted to say I'm sorry. For how I treated you. For being an entitled asshole who took you for granted. Okay. I've been in therapy too, actually. Sarah, my fiancée, she basically gave me an ultimatum. Get my shit together or she's done. So I've been working on it. Got a real job, moved out, actually pay my own bills now. It's hard, and I get now how hard it must have been for you doing it for all of us. It was hard. I know. And I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me or anything. I just wanted you to know I'm not that person anymore. Or I'm trying not to be. I'm glad you're doing better. Thanks. So, I'm getting married in October. And I know it's a lot to ask, but I'd really like you to be there. You don't have to, obviously. But you're my sister and it wouldn't feel right without you. I didn't answer right away. Can I think about it? I asked finally. Of course. Yeah. No pressure. I'll send you the details and you can decide. He sent the invitation. Formal, printed invitation to Tyler James Reeves and Sarah Marie Winter's wedding. October 14th. Some venue in Bothell. I put it on my fridge next to Amanda's phone number. Dr. Chen asked me what I wanted to do. I don't know, I said. Part of me wants to go. Wants to believe they've changed. Wants to have a family again. And the other part? The other part remembers everything. Remembers that apologies are easy but change is hard. Remembers that I've heard sorry before and nothing actually changed. So you're scared. Terrified. What if I go and it's fine and I let my guard down and it happens all over again? What if you go and maintain your boundaries? What if you can be part of their lives without being their ATM? Is that possible? I don't know. But you won't know unless you try. She was right. I knew she was right. But knowing and doing are different things. I sat with the decision for weeks. Went back and forth. Made a pro-con list like a teenager trying to decide on a college. Pro, it's my brother's wedding. Family is important. They seem to have changed. I miss having family. Con, they hurt me. Deeply. 4 years. What if it's a trap? What if I can't handle it? The list didn't help. Then Mom called. I'd unblocked her number months ago but we hadn't talked. Hi Jordan, she said, her voice tentative. Hi Mom. I heard Amanda saw you. And that Tyler invited you to the wedding. Yeah. I'm not calling to pressure you about the wedding. I just wanted to hear your voice. See how you're doing. I'm doing well. Really well, actually. I'm glad. I think about you all the time. Wonder if you're okay. If you're happy. I am happy. Good. That's good. She paused. I know I apologized at the hospital, but I don't think I ever really explained why we did what we did. Not that it's an excuse, but I want you to understand. Okay. When your father lost his job, I felt like our whole world was falling apart. We'd worked so hard for so long, and it was all just gone. And then you stepped in and saved us, and it felt like a miracle. Like God sent us an angel. Mom, let me finish. Please. You saving us that first time, it felt so good. Like maybe we weren't complete failures. Maybe we could still keep our home, our dignity. And then it became normal. You helping. You fixing things. And we just adjusted. Started seeing you as the solution instead of as our daughter who was sacrificing everything. She was crying now. We told ourselves you were doing fine. You had a good job, a nice apartment, you seemed capable. We didn't see the struggle because we didn't want to see it. Because seeing it would mean acknowledging what we were doing to you. You took everything from me, I said quietly. I know. And I can't give it back. Can't undo those years. But Jordan, I want you to know that we're different now. Really different. We had to learn to stand on our own, and it was hard, but we did it. We're not those people anymore. How do I know that? How do I know this isn't just another cycle? You don't. You can't. All I can do is promise you that we've changed and hope you'll give us a chance to prove it. We talked for an hour. Really talked, maybe for the first time in years. She told me about the apartment, about Dad's new job as a supervisor at a different construction company, about how they were actually saving money now. About therapy they'd started, marriage counseling to deal with the stress of the past few years. It felt real. But I'd been burned before. I'm thinking about coming to Tyler's wedding, I told her. I think that would make him really happy. I have conditions though. Okay. No one asks me for money. Not hints, not jokes, not emergencies. Nothing. Agreed. And if anyone does, I leave immediately. No guilt trips, no drama, I just leave. Fair. And this doesn't mean everything is fixed. This is just me showing up for one day. We rebuild slowly or not at all. I understand. Whatever you need, Jordan. We'll respect your boundaries. We'll see, I thought. We'll see if that's true. I RSVP'd to the wedding. One guest, Jordan Reeves, will attend. Bought a new dress. Got my hair done. Prepared myself mentally for the possibility that this could go horribly wrong. The wedding was beautiful. Small, maybe 60 people, at a nice venue with gardens and string lights. Tyler looked happy, genuinely happy, standing at the altar waiting for Sarah. Sarah was lovely. Warm, confident, the kind of person who seemed to have her life together. I could see why Tyler's fiancée had been the catalyst for his change. She didn't seem like someone who would tolerate his previous behavior. I sat in the back, away from my family. Mom waved when she saw me. Dad nodded. Amanda smiled. I waved back but didn't approach. The ceremony was sweet. Tyler cried during his vows. Sarah cried. I might have cried a little too, watching my baby brother promise to love and honor someone, to be a partner, to grow up. At the reception, Tyler found me. You came, he said, hugging me. I said maybe. Maybe turned into yes. Thank you. He pulled back, looked at me seriously. I know this doesn't fix anything. I know I have a lot to prove. But it means everything that you're here. I'm glad I came. Come meet Sarah. He introduced us. Sarah hugged me immediately. I've heard so much about you, she said. Tyler's been nervous about whether you'd come for weeks. All good things, I hope, I said. Mostly honest things, Tyler interjected. I told her everything. About how I treated you. About what the family did. She knows. And I told him he's lucky you're even speaking to him, Sarah added. But I also know he's working really hard to be better. We both are. Therapy, budgeting, actually being adults. I liked her immediately. We talked for a while. She was a teacher, 2nd grade, passionate about her work. She and Tyler had met at a friend's party 2 years ago. She'd seen something in him worth pushing for, but only if he was willing to change. I don't do projects, she'd told him. Either you grow up or we're done. He'd grown up. Dinner was served. I sat with some of Tyler's friends from work, people I didn't know, which was perfect. No pressure, no family drama, just pleasant conversation with strangers. But after dinner, Dad approached my table. Can we talk? He asked. My instinct was to say no. But I'd come this far. Okay. We walked out to the garden, away from the noise and music. You look good, he said. Happy. I am happy. I'm glad. You deserve to be happy. He was quiet for a moment. I owe you an apology. A real one, not the half-assed attempts I made before. Okay. I was supposed to protect you. Supposed to be the provider, the father who had it all together. And when I lost my job, lost everything I'd built, I felt like a failure. Like I'd let everyone down. Dad, let me finish. Please. When you stepped in and saved us, it should have been temporary. Should have been a bridge until I got back on my feet. But I never really got back on my feet. I just let you carry us. And I told myself it was fine because you were capable, you were strong, you could handle it. He was crying now, my strong father who never cried. But it wasn't fine. I turned my daughter into my parent. I let you sacrifice your future for my failures. And then when you finally set boundaries, I called you cold. Called you selfish. Because it was easier than admitting I'd been using you. Dad, I'm so sorry, Jordan. I'm sorry I failed you. I'm sorry I took advantage of your love. I'm sorry I made you feel guilty for protecting yourself. You deserved so much better from me. I was crying too now. All the hurt and anger and resentment from 6 years, all of it pouring out in a garden at my brother's wedding. I needed you to be my dad, I said through tears. Not my dependent. I needed you to protect me, not drain me. I know. I know, and I failed. But I'm trying to do better now. I'm working, saving, supporting your mother. We're stable. We're okay. And we don't need your money. We need your presence, if you're willing to give it. We hugged. Long and tight, the kind of hug we hadn't shared in years. I'm willing to try, I said. Slowly. With boundaries. But I'm willing. That's all I can ask for. We went back inside. Amanda found me, hugged me, said she was glad I came. Mom kissed my cheek and told me she loved me. Tyler introduced me to more of Sarah's family. And for the first time in 6 years, I felt like maybe, possibly, we could be a family again. A different family. One with boundaries and respect and individual responsibility. But rebuilt nonetheless. I didn't stay for the whole reception. Left around 9, tired from the emotional weight of the day. Tyler walked me to my car. Thank you again for coming, he said. Thanks for inviting me. So, maybe we could do dinner sometime? You, me, Sarah? Something casual? Maybe, I said. Text me. We'll figure it out. Cool. Yeah. I will. I drove home, exhausted but peaceful. Put on pajamas, made tea, sat on my couch in my apartment that I could afford, surrounded by things I'd bought for myself. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Here we go, I thought. Here's where they ask for something. But it just said, thank you for giving us another chance. Love you. I smiled. Typed back, love you too. That was 6 weeks ago. Since then, I've had dinner with Tyler and Sarah twice. Coffee with Amanda and the kids once. A phone call with Mom and Dad every Sunday. And nobody has asked me for money. Not once. Not even a hint. Instead, they ask about my life. About work and friends and dating. They share their own lives, their struggles and successes. Tyler talks about saving for a house. Amanda talks about going back to school. Mom and Dad talk about a cruise they're planning. They're standing on their own feet. And I'm standing on mine. It's not perfect. There's still hurt there, still resentment that flares up sometimes. There are moments when I remember everything they put me through and want to run. But there are also moments when Emily sends me a picture of her report card, all A's, and I feel proud. When Tyler calls to ask for advice about a work problem, not money, just advice. When Mom tells me she's proud of me. Those moments are building something. Slowly. Carefully. Something that might eventually look like family. Dr. Chen says I'm doing well. Says setting boundaries and maintaining them while remaining open to connection is one of the hardest things a person can do. You're not responsible for fixing them, she reminds me often. You're only responsible for deciding what role, if any, you want them to have in your life. Right now, the role is small. Careful. Boundaried. But it exists. And that feels okay. I'm not anyone's ATM anymore. I'm not anyone's savior. I'm not the breadwinner for a family of 7. I'm just Jordan. 28 years old. Marketing manager. Daughter, sister, aunt. Person with a savings account and a retirement plan and a future. And if my family can't respect that, can't love me without using me, then I'll walk away again. But for now, I'm cautiously hopeful. For now, I'm okay. And honestly? That's enough. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing my story. Hit that like button if this resonated with you. Subscribe for more real stories about real struggles. And please, comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me if you've ever been in a situation like this. Tell me I'm not alone. Because these comments, hearing from people who understand, who've been through it, that's what makes sharing these painful stories worth it. That's what reminds me I made the right choice. That boundaries aren't selfish. That protecting yourself isn't cold. That you can love people and still say no. And if you're out there right now, being everyone's ATM while falling apart yourself, hear this, you're allowed to stop. You're allowed to choose yourself. You're allowed to let people figure out their own problems. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you human. It makes you someone who understands that helping people who won't help themselves isn't love. It's enabling. And you deserve better than that. We all do. Being the breadwinner shouldn't mean losing yourself. Helping family shouldn't feel like being used. And if they make you the villain for having boundaries, for keeping your money, for protecting your peace, then maybe they were never really on your side to begin with. Maybe they just liked what you could do for them. You are not an ATM. You are a person. A person who deserves rest and security and a future. Don't forget that. I almost did. But I'm here now. Surviving. Healing. Building. And you can be too. One boundary at a time. One no at a time. One step toward yourself at a time. You've got this. And if nobody else is in your corner, I am. We're all in this together. Stay strong.